tell the world.
Hi, I'm Johnny. This is Johnny Likes, the show where I talk about movies that I like. Today I'm going to talk about an older vampire movie that most people aren't that familiar with or have completely forgotten. Today, Johnny likes Innocent Blood.
Plexus, you can really move for someone so big.
Innocent Blood stars Parillaud as Marie, our vampire who prefers to dine on only bad people if she can help it. She also likes to play with her food from time to time. So she's got a hankering for some Italian. She's looking through the papers and she sees, hey, this guy looks bad. He'll hit the spot. She seduces him and feeds on him, but fails to properly kill him. In this world, you have to sever the central nervous system, otherwise the food comes back as another vampire. So now that there's this nasty mafia boss running around the streets, that's no good. Marie has to take care of the mess she made with the help of Joe Gennaro, played by Anthony LaPaglia. So I love me some vampire movies. They are my favorite monster. I'll see pretty much anything if they're involved. Like I saw Twilight and I think the first sequel into theater because I thought, hey, maybe it gets better. Yeah, no. That's how much I like vampires. I went back. I like all the different varieties of vampires, from your Anne Rice style emo sexy goth vamps to your complete monsters like you'd see in 30 Days of Night or Midnight Mass. They all have their place, and I like that as a concept that they can be so versatile. It's always fun learning the different rules that each world kind of lives by. There's usually a few common ones with some secondary ones that sometimes apply, sometimes they don't. The most common ones are no sunlight, thirst for blood, and immortality. The secondary ones being stuff like no garlic, afraid of crosses, need for permission to enter a room, stuff like that. Sometimes we learn all the rules and know exactly how the world works, and sometimes it's a little bit more vague. I'd say vampires have so much variety because there's such a common myth across cultures. There's so many different vampire myths, and some of them are completely unrecognizable to each other, but a lot of cultures have their own kind of spin on the vampire. So there are a ton of vampire movies out there for a few different reasons. As far as monster movies go, they are one of the easier ones to portray. At the bare minimum, you give somebody some fake teeth, maybe some contacts, and like some pancake makeup. Bingo bango, you got yourself a vamp. Plus, you get to film a lot at night, which can really help to cover up some maybe poor effects. Another reason that they resonate and keep getting made is that they are relatable. It can be viewed as a metaphor for addiction at its most base level. Everyone goes through addiction at some level, be it food, drugs, working out, whatever. You either do it yourself or you know someone around you who has been affected. So, therefore, pretty much relatable to everybody. There's also the whole swapping fluids thing. That's fairly sexual and intimate. People like that sort of stuff. I like that sort of stuff. I'm also sure that there's whole essays, if not books, delving further into the subject of why vampires resonate so deeply with people. So I'm just going to leave it at that as my kind of a dime store psychology surface level stuff. Another reason for the amount of vampires is the genre's versatility. They don't have to be strictly for horror fans. It's unlike other types of monsters, like zombies or mass killers. Even if there are the exceptions where they're comedies, for the most part, those are strictly horror fare. So you've got mixtures of several of these elements in Innocent Blood. After introduced it and just went on a vampire tangent. Yeah, this is the movie I'm talking about. Yeah, 1992. Directed by John Landis, stars Parillaud, Robert Loggia, Anthony LaPaglia. There's some other people thrown in there. I'll put up... I can't remember the writer's name offhand. I want to say Bob Wolk or Volk. So Innocent Blood is one part horror movie, one part romance, one part mob film, and like a dash of comedy thrown in there for good measure. So this movie has a couple things going for it. It's got at least an interesting premise. What if a mafia Don boss became a vampire? What would happen then? What would be the implications and ramifications if, like, Tony Soprano all of a sudden was undead and super powerful and could start turning his crew? Robert Loggia as Sal is quite intimidating. He comes off as someone you would not want to mess with, or I wouldn't mess with him anyways. He is decidedly not a nice man, as we are shown several times throughout the movie, including right off the bat.
Came up a truck from the airport. A truck you hit Tuesday. Where's my Aunt Jilly?
I had to take the inventory, make sure that you got a complete cross-section of the merchandise.
And Parillaud is an interesting choice as an actress for the vampire. She is confident, but she also knows what she needs, and she's not afraid to get it. She's also understatedly powerful, kind of like a house cat. She definitely exudes feline energy, I would say, in this film. She's very sexy here. It's not just her physique, although that doesn't hurt. It's also her ability to get her needs met. I think that's a quality that's often overlooked. Oftentimes, you'll hear something like, a girl knows how to take care of herself. But to me, that implies more of a physicality. She knows how to fight back. Whereas this is, she knows what she wants and she's going to get it. I like the simple vampire rules of this world. You gotta drink blood to stay alive, stay out of the sunlight, and you gotta break that central nervous system. That's all we really learn, and that's all we really need to know. It's just enough detail so that we know what's going on. They realize that we are probably familiar as viewers with vampires, and this is not our first vampire flick. I appreciate that. I also like that the word vampire is never actually uttered in the whole movie. That we never learn too much about Marie's history. That was a nice touch. It was probably wise to leave it on the vague side. I liked some of the effects in the movie. I think that the makeup on the vampires and the corpses made them look pretty good. They looked appropriately dead and uninviting.
What the hell hospital is this?
This isn't a hospital.
They had just the right amount of yuck factor without going over the top into just gross goreland. I really enjoyed the look of the movie overall. It really did look dark and cold, like it was December in a city that gets snow. Yeah, even when we're inside, it still feels a little bit cold and bleak. Now for the less than great aspects of the movie. Anthony LaPaglia's character Joe never really worked for me. He's just like generic man cop. Living it on the edge, he's too close. You've gone too far, Joe. I gotta take this guy down right now. Yeah, it's just kind of cliche and boring. He's a product of this era of filmmaking. It feels dated and not in a good way. His acting was okay. I think it's more of just a problem of the way the character was written that I don't really care for. He's not really all that likable or relatable, and I never felt myself really hoping for him to win, or that he would be okay, or win the girl, or anything you're really supposed to hope for the main character in a movie like this. But since he's the leading character, that's the way it goes down. The cat growling effect that they put with the vampires also never really worked for me. Along with whatever they did to their eyes. Like, I think sometimes it was contacts and sometimes it was just like painted on after, like onto the film. Whatever it was, that didn't look great even for the time. And that kind of pulled me out a little bit. I found it a little bit too cheesy.
Stay away from me or I'll kill you!
I didn't think that there was any chemistry between Parillaud and LaPaglia at all.
I know you're good, Joe.
When they did have their love scene, it was way more awkward than it was sexy, despite the amount of nudity. So that's kind of my thoughts on the movie. This isn't my favorite vampire movie, but it's not my least favorite either. It's actually not even the best vampire film of 1992. I do, however, think that it has enough original moments and ideas to warrant a watch if you're looking for maybe something from the era, maybe a horror film you haven't seen. It's not a waste of time overall. I know it doesn't sound like high praise. From what I've read, most people seem to like it a little bit more than me. I do find myself thinking back on it like a fair amount. I watched it a long time ago, sometime mid-90s, would have caught it on TV, and then a few weeks back I watched it and I wasn't blown away, but I did kind of like it, and I have found myself coming back to it enough that I figured I would make a little video, and maybe some of you guys out there can get some enjoyment. Now, okay, my rating. What do I rate it? Overall, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's a pass, but it's not a great pass. So if you like this, I would recommend The Hunger. That's another vampire movie. Recommend An American Werewolf in London for John Landis's other monster movie, which I also didn't really care for all that much. I do a review on it. So these two will be up around the same time. You should check out both reviews. It'll be fun. Last recommendation would be Cat People. Yeah, check it out. So, what's another forgotten vampire flick from the 90s? Who's your favorite lady vampire? And what's your favorite movie monster? Let me know in the comments section, and if you could do me a favor and like and subscribe. It's quick, easy, and relatively painless. Plus, it really helps me out. Thanks for watching me rant about movies for a little bit. You can tune in next time and see what else Johnny likes.
The spinning is best for the unwary fly. The blood is the life, Mr. Renfield.
You tell him, Johnny. You tell the world.